welcome back to another episode of Showcase on Elden Ring. Now, by today's request, I am not sure the pronunciation is either Ghiza or Ghiza. I'm going to say Ghiza. So yes, it is Ghiza's wheel. The description reads, a great iron wheel lined with flesh-flaying blades, device of torture used by the Inquisitor Ghiza. As the wheel spins, it causes severe pain and blood loss. The weapon was adopted for use of the iconic weapon wielded by the Iron Virgins. So yeah. Now its ability, well, it's basically a spin to win. You'll understand more if you're not familiar with it later. Alright, going on to stats. Well, physically, it has a decent amount of physical damage to start us off with, and has a bit of bonus damage as well. The scaling is for D in strength and D in dexterity. This does have innate built-in blood damage, which is actually fairly helpful, as you'll see later on when we start using that special ability. It is a colossal weapon, but it makes a pretty mediocre shield. Well, I guess it blocks a little bit of the other elements, not so much physical, because you're losing a whole 25% there. And for the means to wield it, you need a lot of strength and a bit of dexterity. And of course, you got the ability of the spinning wheel. It does not cost very much, as it says 3, but that is 3 FP a second. So you'll burn through your FP quick if you don't have any. That said, it's also quite heavy. Okay. Visually, well, it's a giant wheel and a staff, a pokey wheel at that. Of course, there is no real equivalence of this in the real world, other than your pizza cutter brought up to a ridiculous proportion. I guess you could say in terms of in this game, it's what the Iron Virgins used. You know, those guys who are very annoying and they, you know, have snakes inside them. Are they snakes? I'm actually not sure. But yeah. I guess the real world equivalent of this would be a pole saw. If you're not familiar with that garden tool, that's okay. But yes. There's no real mechanical means for this wheel to spin. You can sure spin on the ground, which what your character does, but you'll quickly lose inertia, especially when you make contact with really anything. You lose the inertia and then the spinning action would stop. What keeps it spinning? Well, let's just say it's the force of our will that keeps it spinning. Anyway. Enough of the joking around. Okay, where do you find it? Well, it's actually fairly easy to find. Getting there, that's all on you. So you'll find it in the Volcano Manor. How you get there? That's up to you. You can be invited, you can walk here, you can be abducted. That's all up to you. There's multiple ways to get here. But when you do get here, you'll want to go upstairs. It doesn't matter, you don't have to talk to anyone. You just go upstairs and go to the back of the very nice fine dining hall, which is never used. Don't know why. You got all these dining halls in all these Souls games, and no one ever uses them. Never. Doesn't matter if you pick up the item or not, because when you do, Ghiza will appear. And you must defeat them. Her, they, them, they, them. You must defeat they, them. And you see, he just demonstrated the special ability, and he likes to use it, so I like to, you know, Kamehameha him to death. And that's how you get the weapon. Alright, so pretty easy to get, all things considered, just not getting there. Let's go on some animations. As we're seeing in the first part here, well, you're swinging the weapon around, throwing out your shoulder in the process guaranteed. The weapon does look pretty heavy, and it'll be caught in the ground, you know, being blades all over it. And if you use the power attack and hold it, you can see the weapon spins magically by itself. You can slam it on the whole, you know, the ground, swinging at opponents, but yeah, just using the power attack, this weapon just spins. It's a spin to win. Alright, you got the crouch attack, which is your character somehow goes in a full 360 to swing it, and of course there's no power attack variant of the crouching attack. Light step back attack, you just pretty much lunge your entire body to hit upon an opponent. Power attack version does not exist. And you got the sprint attack, which is like the bounce back attack, or the step back attack. And of course you got the power attack version of that, which is a quick spin, or a twirl I guess. I guess distinguish between the spins and the twirls here. And jumping it, well, for jumping attack it's almost identical for normal and power attack. Nothing new there. Okay, so we got the two-handed variants, which it's almost similar to one-handed when it comes to these colossal weapons. There's a whole lot of variants, but at least this weapon spins when you use it. somehow still. One-handed or two-handed doesn't make any sense. Alright. Next you got the crouching attack, which you pretty much, I guess, drop the weapon right into the ground, crushing who's directly in front of you. And of course, no power attack version of the crouching attack. Light step back attack, you pretty much use the weapon like a giant club. Probably the best use of it, to be honest. Most accurate use of it. And then, of course, there's no power attack version of that. Sprinting attack, you can basically like the step back attack, just no stepping back, just still using the club. And the power attack version, again, you twirl and slam the weapon into the ground. Okay. Actually, I think I forgot about the rolling attacks. So, no matter. The rolling attack here, as you see, no about drop weapon quickly into the ground, and of course, no power attack version. Okay. So, basically same for one-handed, two-handed. Alright. So, now let's talk about, let's see, I think the only thing left is, yeah, jumping attacks. So, for a jumping attack, using the weapon as its weight, lunged forward, normal or power attack. And I think that's all the animations. So here is the special ability. As he rolled me up, as I turn on the thing, you see that it only takes a very little stamina, FP to get started. But when you hold it there, you can see, yes, it keeps spinning, but it is using your FP as a fuel source. A chainsaw, if you will. As close as the game gets to a chainsaw, I guess. So yes, now the useful thing about this, that bleed proc is per hit, and this is a high DPS weapon. So this is a bleed build weapon, clearly. Clearly. Alright, before we go on with that, let's look at some horse animations. You can see that it's a colossal weapon, so it's not exactly the best to use on a horse, though there is one at least aesthetic faction to it. The power attack, you can use it normally, but you can also hold it and use that spinning blade. Is it any better? No, not really, but oh well. But still, it's kind of nice to have a spinning action of all the other colossal weapons. This one actually makes sense when you drag it across the ground and strike something. It at least is getting the forward momentum of you moving to get it, actually to do anything. So I'm not going to test braking, but let's test that special ability. So as you can see here, it just tore right through that guy, just to cause that bleed in seconds. Clearly it's the weapon that causes the bleed the fastest, I believe. Is it the best? Well, no, you can probably upgrade other weapons, but as you see, enemies wandering into it won't just be staggered easily. You do have to at least hit them with the innate blast of it. Alright, for upgrades we get a problem. This takes somber smithing stones, so no infusing. That said, here's the actual damage value you get. This is almost the full damage value you'll see at all. So it's pretty darn powerful, and the scaling went to a C for both strength and dexterity. So yeah, so what does that get you? Well, a lot of bleed damage. So using the weapon normally, it can be done, but really, who is swinging this weapon at people? Nobody does that. Though it can be still used, it is still a colossal weapon. So it can't be, stun enemies, but really we're all here for that bleed damage. And boom. Even without the bleed, that is rapid damage. That said, it can't proc super quick like that. When it does proc, you gotta wait a good cooldown of a few seconds. But oh well. By itself, it's still quite a hefty weapon, and it still should be treated as such, like a giant hammer. Alright, so yes, you could just hold it out there like that, and it's alright, but still you're burning a lot of FP, and enemies with longer weapons will still hit you first. Make no mistake of that. It's a handy weapon, but it does not beat the reach contest. At least against other very long polearms, like the pike. Or even that whip weapon, the Urumi, that's what it's called. Even that weapon. So yeah, pretty darn powerful. Next I want to check it against a shield and see if they can actually block. Let's find out. I'll rev it up a little bit ahead of time, and you can see, well, he couldn't even hold it. Couldn't even stand against that. Remember, this is the new game release +1, so that's quickly getting through enemies. Pull out their stats very quickly. Next. Could I defeat a Clean Rot Knight quickly with that? Let's find out. Because they have a lot more health and a lot more durable. And no point killing the doorman, he always lets me by for some reason. Alright. Now I know when I rev this up, he's probably going to notice. Let's see. Yep, he does. And alright, that's a damage, not bad. Okay, but I didn't get through his guard. Oh, well. Well, it's gonna win, the bleed build or the rot build. Take your bets now. But yeah, oh shit, I might actually lose this. But anyway, the problem is, it didn't get through his defense. That was problem number one. He blew up his guard, and I did hit him, but I did not get through it. In fact, I don't think I could do this chainsaw thing too well. I might just have to normally whack him. I kind of wanted to finish off the chainsaw, but it's too cumbersome. Alright, let's move on to some pros and cons for the Ghiza's Wheel. On the pros, it easily has the highest DPS of any of the colossal weapons, and maybe even all the great swords, or, greater weapons too. It's also a powerful weapon in its own right. Alright, and the scaling can be pretty darn powerful if you have the right build. And oh yes, the fastest bleed proc available as well. So that's plenty of pros. And there could be some minor ones, but let's move on to cons. It is still a heavy weapon. You are locked into a strength build slash something of a dex build when you wield it. And it cannot be infused with any weapon arts or anything, given it's a somber weapon. Or a unique weapon, however you wish to classify it. So yeah. So some pretty good pros and some minor cons in my opinion, comparing what you get. Alright, now going on to the score for the Ghiza's Wheel. Well, damage is, I was fairly impressed by it. Not just the whirling action, but the actual physical damage. I'm going to give that a B+. Reach? Well, it's longer than most weapons, but the longest weapons will still, as demonstrated earlier in the video in the performance section on the Halleck tree, it can still be interrupted. But if you have heavy armor, you can, circumnavigate that. So, oh yes, Reach gets a B. Animations? Well, it's a colossal weapon with its own unique animations, although they're not, unique movements, it's just uniquely visualized. So I'm going to give that a B as well. Scaling was pretty damn good. I was able to surpass the base damage, but that's only at the soft caps of both strength and dexterity. But since they're sort of locked in there, I'm going to give it a B+, because it doesn't give you any room for variation. Miscellaneous, I'm also going to give a B+, because of all that blood damage, or the blood proc, just almost immediate for some targets being hit with it. This weapon's plenty powerful, although you do need a lot of large FP pool to maintain it for extended fights. So in total, I give Ghiza's Wheel, I give that a B+. Overall, pretty darn good. If you have the means to wield it properly, that is. But that goes for a lot of weapons out there. Oh well, let's move on. So in conclusion, yeah, it's a pretty darn powerful weapon. The best? Maybe for certain builds it is. But that is a very certain build, mainly the ones who can lift it and have dexterity also. So it's not the optimum build according to some people. And some people don't even bother the weapon at all and go with intelligence. But no matter. I think that's all, and that's been Showcase for Tales. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you guys next time. Take care out there.
In this world you've got to be